Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today I'm going to build this T-72B Soviet main battle tank. This is a 15mm or 1/100th scale plastic snap kit from Zvezda as part of their Hot War range. It is a little bit more modern than the tanks I would usually build, and so I know even less about these vehicles than usual, but it looks cool, so why not? The back of the box is pretty standard for one of these 15mm scale kits. It tells us some basic information about the kit, and there are images of the completed though unpainted model at 3 angles, which I like because it shows you what to expect of the kit, though you'll probably notice the model looks a bit different to the box art, which features reactive armor blocks all over the tank. This clearly doesn't appear on the model. It's a minor complaint in my opinion, though it is worth pointing out. And you can see that the model doesn't come with this on the box, so it's not like a surprise when you open it. Inside the box we find 2 sprues in a dark green plastic. There's not a whole lot on these sprues. There's enough here to build the tank and that's it. That's all you really need, even if it does make you feel a bit sad in the bits box. The parts that are here are pretty good looking. Everything is neat and tidy and well moulded. The only thing that stands out is the weird discoloration in some spots that looks like blast marks or something. It's prominent on the upper hull part. I've no idea what it is, and it doesn't seem to have any effect on the model other than a bit of discoloration that'll go away once the tank is primed. It is something I've noticed on Zvezda kits in particular before. Anyway, other than that, everything looks fine. There are of course mold lines, but they're not going to be too difficult or time consuming to remove. Detail is pretty decent, keeping in mind that this is a 15mm scale wargaming model. It's designed to be used in games, and not as an extremely detailed display model. It may be obvious, but some people do seem to need that kind of reminder. Anyway, I think it looks good. The instruction leaflet is pretty much the same as any other Zvezda kit in this scale. One side talks about the game, though it has the unusual addition of instructions for decal application, and the other side has the instructions. These are pretty straightforward as you would expect. It's a simple kit, so simple instructions is all you need. I would like to take this time to point out the Russian word for snap being wank. We had ourselves a right good laugh on stream with that. Wank. Definitely saying that right, by the way. Here are the decals, which are the reason for the decal application guide. This is the only time I've seen decals included in one of these kits, and while they're just numbers, I do think it's good to see, and I like that you get a lot of them. Okay, that's what's in the box. And it's now time to glue bits of plastic together. The first step is to install the framey parts into the lower hull. This is pretty easy, though the fit is quite tight, which makes sense. This is a snap kit and tight fits mean that it stays together with friction alone. It just means that you may need to apply a fair bit of pressure. You don't need to glue the parts into place, but I do, because I don't really see a need for disassembling the model in the future, and glue will help to keep any gaps minimized. The top half of the external fuel drums comes next. It doesn't seem to matter which way around or which side either of these go on, and they fit very nicely. They look rather fuel drum. Below those, we can install the traditional Soviet log. This seems like a very smooth, factory-prepared log, and not just something one of the crew has cut down. The fit here is decent, but I still add a bit of extra glue at some contact points for extra strength, and to appease the glue god. Next, I install the sides of the hull. This is a simple matter of pressing them onto the pins on the internal frame part, which as you might guess is rather easy. With the first part I wasn't totally sure how well it would fit, so rather than pulling it apart I just add glue after pressing the part into place on the right side. But on the left, where I was more confident, I applied plenty of glue before the part. The glue god will smile upon this action. Also, the part will almost certainly stay right where I want it. The tracks come next. These are a single piece, and they look pretty decent. Tread detail is a bit lacking, but that's normal for this kind of kit, and to be fair, that is generally not the most visible part of the tracks. Not every axle works as a mounting pin, but there are still plenty of contact points where you can add glue. It took a fair bit of pressure to get these parts all the way on, but nothing too extreme. About the same as any other Zvezda kit in this scale, really. The result is pretty decent. The detail is quite nice here, at least on the sides. You might notice that I left the mold lines around most of the track. That's because it will largely be hidden by the upper hull and side skirts. No sense doing extra work if you don't have to, right? Speaking of upper hull, that's what comes next. I applied plenty of glue so everything will stay together, and then I press the upper hull onto the lower hull. Exactly how you might imagine it's done. I pay a bit of extra attention to the front of the tank where there's a gap wanting to form. This is dealt with by applying a bit more glue and some pressure. Simple enough. Next, I add the side skirts. These are a little bit weird. To get them mounted, you need to slot the pin part in above the track and then kind of press it upwards. There's also a mounting pin on the side of the track sets at the front. This isn't too tricky to do, though you may find the result to be a bit gappy if you aren't gluing the model together, particularly at the front. At any rate, that's the hull completed. Now, the turret. This is the hardest part of the kit to assemble.
It's just one piece, Herbert. That's easy.
That's the joke. I did notice the gun on my turret was bent slightly downward, so I gently bent it in the opposite direction, upwards, obviously, which does seem to have corrected that just a bit. It's still not perfect, but it is better. Once the turret has been cleaned up, it can be slotted onto the mounting pin that's sticking up out of the hull. Very, very simple. You could glue this into place, but I figured I would just leave it. It's not likely to fall off, and once it's time for painting, we can take it off and paint the turret separately. And with that, the Zvezda 15mm scale T-72B snap kit is completed. I think it's turned out pretty good. It's obviously not the most detailed model ever, but it's not trying to be. Though that said, the detail is pretty nice for what it is, a gaming piece. The running gear in particular looks well done to me. The looks would probably be improved if the gun barrel were drilled out, but I didn't feel like doing that at the time I built this kit. It's not exactly a difficult modification, and I'm sure you don't need me to show you how it's done. I'm aware that Battlefront also makes a T-72 in this scale. I don't have that kit, and I don't play any games where it might be useful, so I don't have a pressing need for it. However, I am considering picking up a single sprue to build and compare with this kit. I mean, why not? If that's something you're particularly interested in, let me know in the comment section below. Of course, we're not here to talk about the Battlefront kit, this is a video about the Zvezda one, obviously. Building the kit was very quick and easy, as is to be expected with this kind of model, and I would say that cleanup took most of the time, even though there wasn't really a whole lot of cleanup to do. It's obviously not a race, building models should be a relaxing hobby, but I would imagine, if you wanted, you could whip one of these together very quickly. I mean, don't actually use a whip, it won't work, it's just a figure of speech. But you could build these really quickly if you wanted. Anyway, I managed to build this in one stream, which is probably much longer than it would take most people to do it. That's because I'm easily distracted by chat and pretty much anything else, but that is a large part of the fun in streaming. If you want to come hang out and watch me build kits like this live on stream, head on over to my Twitch channel and give me a follow. There's a link in the description. I usually build models twice a week, though sometimes more, depending on what I've got going on. I also play video games rather poorly, so come hang out, it'll be fun times. If you have any questions or comments, please put those in the comment section below. If you've built one of these or any other cool models and you want to share, why not drop by our Discord community? We would love to see what you've done. And if you've not done so already, why not subscribe, follow, ring the bell, become a patron, or maybe just come say hi on Discord or Twitch. Links to all of my things are in the description below, and, as always, I shall return soon. So until then, be excellent to each other, and thanks for watching. Farewell.